Oh, Emily Dickinson. No. I mean, again, this was, you know, as you say, you're fascinated by people who are not recognised in the lifetimes. But the life of a poet, and that is a real challenge to put on screen, isn't it?
Well, the real challenge is that she never went anywhere. You know, she was desperately homesick when she went to the Holyoke Academy, which is only 10 miles away. But if you've got to drive there in a gig or on a horse, it seems a long way away. She came back when she was 17 to Amherst via Boston, and she never left home again. And what she wanted, I think, I read a lot about her, she wanted the family to stay as perfect as that. And I felt the same when I was a child. I thought the family would never change. We'll always be here. We'll always be together. We'll all have each other. Like the family in me and St. Louis. Everybody wants to be part of the Smith family. They just do. And then she realizes that that's impossible. But she wrote every day. 1,808 poems and 3 volumes of letters. And she was very well educated. These people were very, very well educated. But as she withdrew from life, the poetry becomes more intense. It also becomes more abstract because she was very spiritual and she was constantly asking herself, is there a God? Is there not? And she oscillates between the two all the time. And it possessed her in a way that only genius can be obsessed by that. I mean, and in one of her poems, which is the middle period, it's heartbreaking. This is my letter to the world that never wrote to me, the simple truth that nature told with tender majesty. Her message is committed to hands I cannot see, for love of her, sweet countryman, judge tenderly of me.
Cynthia Nixon is playing. Cynthia Nixon from the fantastic actress, Sex and the City, I also you've known from, but she's done an awful lot of wonderful work since that as well. So did she come to you? I mean, how did you?
No, I came to her. I auditioned her for a film that never came on. I'd never forgotten her. Never. And she said to her agent, oh, I think he doesn't like me. I said, no, that's not the case. We couldn't get the money for that film. But I'd never forgotten her. And when I was writing it, I constantly saw her face. And there's only one photograph of Emily Dickinson that's extant. A little daguerreotype like this, when she was 17. And we superimposed Cynthia's face on top of it, and she looks exactly like her. And I knew she was right. I knew she'd be wonderful. And she was. I mean, we did the poetry, for instance, because the poetry sometimes determines the length and speed of the shot. We did it as a guide track, that's all. When we got into the cutting room, her agent rang up and said, you know, do you want us to do any additional recording? I said, no. They were just fabulous. She caught them, the mood of them. And what's wonderful, what's really wonderful, the very first Dickinson poem I ever heard was Claire Bloom reading it on film. Because I could not stop for death, he kindly stopped for me, the carriage held but just ourselves and immortality. And I always sort of saw it as kind of solemn, but she read it with this kind of wonderful detachment, because I could not stop for death. He kindly stopped for me. And it's fabulous, and especially when someone does something that you hadn't thought of. That's when it's thrilling. That's really thrilling.
So is this a film, is this an American finance film or a British finance film?
Well, it was multi-finance. We shot all the interiors and 2 exteriors in Belgium, because they gave us money. We did post-production, part of the post-production in London. But they were fantastic. That means, you know, the more you spend in Belgium, the more we'll give you. If you do it in London, then you have to find that money. But it was completely straightforward. And they rebuilt her house onto 2 sets. And, I mean, I've been to the house in Amherst. And I'd walk onto the set and think, it's her house. This is where she lives. It was wonderful, wonderful.
So is it that the fact that there's so much going on at the moment, as you say, you've had sort sort of two bites of the cherry. Do you feel differently about filmmaking and the whole process of creating film as an art now than from the first?
No, I still feel like the also right. I wish I could make commercial films, if only for my bank balance. I mean, I'd love to be a household name like Dettol, but I'm a bit late now. But there is part of me thinks, like her, you know, it would be nice to make a film for 2 million and then it takes 10 million at the box office. But it's never going to happen. I mean, it's never going to happen. I'm reconciled to that now. But I'm as vain as anybody else. I would like my films to be known by everybody, but I don't make those sorts of films. I wish I could, but I don't. I see cinema in a specific way, and a lot of people don't like that. And they told me to my face. You know, one woman said, "Why are your films so bloody slow and depressing?" I said, "It's a gift."